Greetings, Benjamin J. from BENZTRAINZ with another in the series. Well, a follow-up on that 666 that arrived today from eBay. You can see the oil is really beginning to penetrate this paint. Most of it is gone. Still really glossy. By tomorrow, all of this, 99% of it will be absorbed into that paint. Anyway, I encountered a problem with the E-unit, which so often happens on these locomotives that I buy. And I did a video, E-unit 101, to show how they worked. And in this case, the electrics were good, the contacts were okay, the mechanics weren't working. The solenoid was not flipping the switch, and it was hanging up. So whenever you encounter that, you know it will run, it just won't go into forward or it won't go into reverse. That's the solenoid itself. And you can lubricate it by lightly spraying it through one of the holes with WD-40. Now, WD-40, water displacement, that's what the WD stands for. WD-40 does not conduct electricity, and it has an affinity for water, so it will surround water and actually dry out a wet motor. It was actually used exclusively back in the 60s and the 70s for drying out a wet ignition when cars still had distributors. A distributor cap would get wet in the rain, or a splash would kill the motor dead. And you would just spray WD-40 into the distributor cap. It would surround the water, which essentially dries out the ignition, and the engine would run. So it does not conduct electricity, which is good to know, which means you can spray it into a running motor without fear of sparking or shorting. Now, you just spray a tiny amount into the E-unit, and that will lubricate that lever that's actually actuating the switch. And in this case, it solved the problem instantly. So this motor was stuck in forward. Now it's running in reverse and instantly running forward. So it recovered completely from that E-unit not working. And as you can hear, this is really quiet. I've got it on the Lionel Consist. I'll go ahead and take this around. This motor is just absolutely purring. So $10 on eBay, and I was the only bidder. And by tomorrow, this locomotive is going to look like it just came out of the box. I mean, this looks really well, and it runs just absolutely superbly. And as you can see, it's in really decent shape. And once this oil penetrates the paint's going to be semi-gloss black. And the only thing that's really missing is the stripe has been worn. But there's no damage, there's no play wear. It works absolutely perfectly. And that little spritz of WD-40 got the E-unit working perfectly again, as you see. Now, you'll read on a lot of the chat sites, do not spray a lubricant into the E-unit. Well, what are you supposed to do? If you can't lubricate it and you can't reach it and the motor's not running, you're kind of stuck. So you only have two options. Spray some WD-40 into it, see if it works, bypass it, or tear it apart and replace it. So it's a lot easier to bypass an E-unit than it is to replace one. And before you do anything else, give it a quick, small spritz of WD-40. Don't soak it, just a small spritz into the hole on the side of the side plate on the motor, and you can directly lubricate that mechanical rod that's actuating the switch. A lot of times that will cure the problem. If it won't go forward and it won't go reverse, then either the E-unit has failed, or the solenoid has failed, or the lever is sticking and not moving. So it's pretty straightforward. Usually a small spritz of WD-40 will break it loose and lubricate it. It'll run for years this way. Trust me. It works absolutely perfectly if that's what the problem was. So if it's an electrical problem, there's nothing you can do except replace the E-unit or bypass it. If it's a mechanical problem, you at least have the chance that lubrication will solve the problem. And in this case, it did. This engine is running just absolutely superbly. So WD-40, water displacement, it works. It'll lubricate a running motor. It won't short the brushes. You can spray it directly into any electrical energized circuit, and it will not short because it does not conduct electricity. It's actually pretty interesting stuff. Anyway, I just wanted to do a quick video. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email, BENZTRAINZ@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for watching.